So Sean, ti'n cofio ymweld â Hyde Park a ti'n cofio Tomi a Gedi, wyt ti? O'n nhw'n byw na?
Ydw, o'n i'n arfer galw yn aml, achos o Gymraeg nhw mor arbennig, a gymaint o historia gan Tomi yn arbennig, achos nath Edward farw yn gyntaf, wedyn nath Tomi fyw hyd i rhyw 96 mwyn y lai. Lle o'n i'n hoff iawn o'r lle a o'r ddau frawd yna. A wedyn, just cyn i Tomi farw, rhai blynedd cyn i Tomi farw, mi roi na olwyn deiar, fel da chi'n dod i fewn i'r ffarm, gyda'r enw Hyde Park arno. Ac mae'n debyg bod rhywun neu rhyw blant wedi dwyn yr olwyn yna ers blynyddoedd. Wedi cael ei gosod gan tad Tomi. Felly, am rai ddyddiau, doedd na ddim olwyn gyda'r enw Hyde Park. A mae stori yn ddiddorol, achos mae Hyde Park yn dod o'r un o'r deleithia, o Pennsylvania. O fanna mae Hyde Park yma'n dod. Ac wrth gwrs, o Tomi yn teimlo ar goll blwydd hynny, achos hwnna ddim enw ar y ffarm. A dyma fo yn ei henaint drian ono fo, dwi'n cofio.
Beth oed o'n e?
Oedd o'n 96 mwyn y lai.
96? Ie.
Ac oedd o'n teimlo yn drist achos oedd y blant yn dwyn yr olwyn ar dim enw ar ffarm oedd o'n dweud. A mae'n rhaid i mi gosod olwyn arall. A dyma fo yn mynd ati ac yn olwyn ac yn ei henaint chwaraedig nath o bintio unwaith eto Hyde Park fel yna. A oedd ti'n gallu gweld fel oedd o wedi cael ei beintio achos mae'r geiriau'n glir, ond ti'n gallu gweld bod Tomi yn sal bydd hynny, bod yn hen. Ond i'n hoffi iawn o'n ôl.
If you travel on Route 25 that runs straight from Dramâu to the Andes, 15 miles beyond Gyman and just before you reach Dolafon, you will see a tyre half buried in the roadside. On a smear of white paint and stenciled in red are the words Hyde Park. Turn off through the sand dunes and there, on the channel edge, is the single-storied farmhouse of that name. It was in 1875 that John Davis arrived in Chubut from the coalfields of Hyde Park, Pennsylvania, after surviving the shipwreck of Captain Rogers' vessel, the Electric Spark. It was not until 1877, with all the ingenuity of the pioneer and with the help of Thomas Pugh Guyman, that the house was built from mud, straw, rolls of sackcloth, homemade bricks, odd lengths of timber dragged by oxen from Guyman on the Indian trails through the bramble thickets. It's still there. In fact, it's all still there. In the yard is every implement ever used: wagons, reapers, rakes, threshing drums. In the barn, scythes, horse tackle, bolas. In the parlour, Indian saddle blankets, Roger's sextant, an early singer's sewing machine, all in order from first to last, awaiting some use that will never come again. Tomi and Eddie were the sons of John Davis. Both were in their 80s. I first met them in the dirt yard of Bethesda Chapel, a flock of screaming anchor-shaped parrots wheeling overhead. They were wearing dark suits with broad lapels, trilbies that scored their foreheads and coloured scarves. They were driving an enormous yellow Chevrolet pickup. Both have the bow-legged gait of wranglers. Tomi had a permanent grin. You could still see the dimple where the bullet entered his cheek and came blasting out through his mouth, taking 3 teeth with it. I see Tomi lifting the sooted kettle from the wood fire with an underhand grip and pouring the water onto the back of his hand. Mustn't use boiling water to make mate. I hear Eddie in the kitchen, surrounded by printed metal adverts on the mud-streaked walls for Fabricantas Ingleses Robes, telling tales of the mule trains which passed, perhaps 10 each day in each direction, of days in a saddle searching for cattle out on the camp, of the time when Tom Rowlands' choir could fill Bethesda. But ask a question, when was this or that last used? And they'd answer, oh, when Dada was alive, 10 years back. Their father must have died 50 years before. which was of course only yesterday. Just before they died, Tomi and Eddie appeared on television, sitting under the peach tree at Hyde Park. In quick succession, the Welsh interviewer asked them two rhetorical questions. What did they think Wales was like? Did they want to go there? Their silence, their look of incomprehension was the true expression of the emigrant. We spend a lifetime forgetting, and then suddenly, close to the end, we remember. And we recall all, but all those other times and places. Tomi and Eddie were quite deaf. It's the wind, you see. It's the wind.